Welcome back. We have Kamloops South Thompson MLA Todd Stone joining us on the show. It's great to have you back. How are you doing?
It's always good to be here.
Yeah, good. You've had a busy few months behind you, taking a run, of course, at the Liberal leadership. Let's just talk a little bit about that to start.
Well, it was an extraordinary experience. We crisscrossed the province over almost 5 months, 30,000 kilometers. We met countless individuals. We talked about the issues that we wanted to talk about, and we didn't quite make it at the end of the day, but you know, I'm a young guy, and you know, perhaps we'll do it again at some point in the future. But the people of Kamloops who got behind me in this leadership race, we got almost 91% of the vote in Kamloops, which was the highest by a long shot.
That's
of
awesome.
any.
That's
you know,
good.
talk about having a community at your back.
Good for you.
It was incredible.
And a good experience nonetheless.
Absolutely, absolutely. The difference between first and fourth was only a couple hundred points. So it was very, very close. And I'm proud of the fact we ran a positive campaign. I was the only guy from outside of the Lower Mainland, so I kind of felt a bit of an obligation as the interior guy. And I'm really excited that we were able to talk about issues that are really important up here, but also are important in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
So moving forward, the NDP government, of course, coming out with their budget recently and making a couple of controversial announcements that not everyone is sure about. Some people like it, some people don't. The employer health tax, of course, being the first thing that I thought we could talk about. This is the NDP's attempt, in some people's eyes, to take away the MSP premium to the everyday family and make sure that it's still covered, but they're having employers cover it instead. And when we say employers, we also mean municipalities like the city of Kamloops, which we learned will have to pay about $1.1 million come 2019 to help pay for that. Your thoughts, obviously, you've got some problems with it, I'm sure.
Well, we had actually announced a year ago when we were still in government that we were going to eliminate MSP premium, half. The first half was going to be gone by this January, and then we were going to work on the other half and eliminate them when we could afford it, when the economy had grown and we could actually afford it. The NDP have done a pretty significant bait and switch here. They announced with great fanfare that they were following through on our promise to eliminate the first half. So that's been done for this year, but they have replaced it with this new employer health tax, which is almost as regressive as the MSP is. It's essentially they've just shifted that tax burden from individuals and small businesses to small businesses, nonprofits, school districts, every public organization you can think of. Ask Wellness in Kamloops, which is one of those organizations which actually steps up. Very few organizations in Kamloops get into the affordable housing business for mental health, and folks with mental health challenges and addictions. Ask Wellness does an amazing job. They're going to be hit with a $100,000 cost to their bottom line. It's got to come from somewhere. The school district is $250,000 hit. The city of Kamloops is $1.1 million. That's going to be reflected in increased property taxes. And don't get me started about the impact on small businesses, whether they be ITEL in Kamloops or whether it be Nature's Fair Markets. A huge increase in taxes, and it's just going to be passed on to consumers. Fair
to say, I think that there could be some wrinkles ironed out in this proposal. Do you think that could happen?
Well, our role now is opposition, and so we've been hammering the government pretty hard for the last 4 weeks that we've been in session in Victoria. Certainly in the last 2 weeks since the budget with this employer health tax was announced, and we're going to continue to do that because this tax this is wrong. And for the finance minister, for the NDP to look British Columbians in the eyes and say, good news, we've eliminated MSP premiums, we've made life more affordable, when all they've really done is they've just shifted that onto property taxes. They've shifted that onto the backs of school districts. They've shifted that onto the backs of nonprofits, museums, you name it. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's very disingenuous. And that's probably the nicest word I can use to describe this punitive tax.
Okay, we only have 3 minutes, so I want to move on to a couple of other talks in regard to some of the things that have come out of the budget. The speculation tax, another one, best explained to help sort of discourage foreign investment in real estate, but it's going to end up affecting British Columbians as well.
Well, that's a huge surprise too. So, look, we all know that more needed to be done to kind of cool the housing market, particularly in the Lower Mainland. This is not an issue in Kamloops.
Right. But will it affect people in Kamloops?
Well, it could. Now, what they've done here is they've called this a speculation tax, and insofar as dealing with foreigners, folks from China or the United States or wherever it might be, when they come into this province and they purchase a residence. If they don't pay income tax here, they will be subject to the speculation tax. But the fine print is where the devil's always in the details. The fine print we learned this past week, this tax will also apply to British Columbians that have a second residence. So if you think of a senior couple that purchased a cabin in the Okanagan in 1956 for $7,000, and it's appreciated in value today to $400,000, they're now going to be subject to this speculation tax, and it's a lot of money. It could be tens of thousands of dollars. There is a tax credit that will be made available for those British Columbians, but you only get the tax credit if you actually have income. If you actually, and so this was not well thought out at all.
But this hasn't gone into effect yet.
It was included in the budget, and so it's a statement of the government's intent. They have said that the details will be made available this fall, and it will take effect early next year.
One would like to think that perhaps there's going to be, again, some fine-tuning to help protect British Columbians who, you know, like in the scenario you gave, for example, there's many different scenarios, but I'd like to think that there will be some corrections made to this.
Well, there has to be, but at a high level here, the worrisome part is the NDP seem to be focused through a number of these taxes at going after people's assets, going after individuals' personal capital, as if it's a bad thing that you were able to afford to buy a cabin,
sure,
20 years ago, and it's appreciated through no fault of your own, and now you need to give a little bit of that appreciation to the big bad government in Victoria. It's just not right.
Okay, we only have 30 seconds, but quickly, I know that you're meeting later today with the TRU Student Union. They are starting a Fair Funding for the Future campaign because students at our university say that bigger universities get far more funding than we do. They want to see that disparity made smaller.
And I support them in this effort. I'm going to be meeting with Trusu as well as Tom Friedman and on behalf of the Faculty Association later today. They're doing some excellent work in advocating for a review of the funding formula for post-secondary institutions. And there's no doubt about it. TRU needs additional funding in terms of the funding that's made available on an FTE or a per seat basis. TRU has received funding in other areas, and so it gets a bit complicated when you just drill down in one particular area as opposed to looking at the overall investments that are made in the institution. But there's no question that the funding formula is outdated, needs to be updated, and so I'm going to strongly advocate, along with Peter Millibar and in supporting Trusu and the Faculty Association, to make sure that TRU has the funding it needs moving forward. Yeah.
We're out of time, sadly. The segment always goes by way too quickly, but we're going to have Todd join us back on the show in a more quarterly manner as we go along in the calendar year. So thank you for being here, and we'll look forward to hearing what comes out of the Trusu meeting that you guys have.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Our news team might catch up with you later today.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it.
Awesome. If you would like to speak with Todd, information is on the screen, his website, along with the phone number locally. If you'd like to catch up with him, 374-2880. Quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.